Morning all. Right, cup of tea gets the day going. Best part of the day, tea. I'll have the biscuits later. I've got to watch my figure. We're going to talk about starter motors today. Just a few problems. Can of worms I've opened. Well, I think we'll get through it. Okay, so the engine on the project what I brought, Tiger Recreation, was a 289 with an 157 tooth flywheel. So it was manual transmission. So as the starter motor, basically what I've got here, what was in it, it won't fit. Two reasons. One reason is the throw is 3/4, 20 mil, I think, and the length, and it's heavy as well. So as that'll go on eBay. So as we're going to get a high torque starter motor, which is smaller, so as we can get it out without taking the headers off. Yep, I had to take the headers off to get it out. So don't fancy doing that if you get a problem with the starter motor. So as we're going to buy this starter motor. Now, what's on the engine now is an 164 tooth flywheel, manual transmission, obviously. The inside diameter should be 4.130 of an inch for the starter motor to fit, which equals 104.70, call it 105 millimeter for argument's sake, right? So it's got a 3/8 ring depth. So as if you measure from the back of the flywheel to the block, right, you should get about 3/8, 10 mil. So that's the correct starter motor, what you require. So 105 diameter. Now the diameter on mine is smaller because of the starter motor from the previous engine. So I shall probably ream that out, or the guy who's doing the starter motor for him, just it's honestly it's just 1 mil difference between one and the other. It probably fit because I've measured this morning accurately with my old grandfather gauge. What you call it, technology piece of crap with the batteries were always going flat. Proper manual gauge with these as well, these calipers, and even them measurements what I give you, it's out by a gnat's dick. So what we're going to do now is get the proper starter motor for this short stop motor. So as basically, if you've got a 164 tooth flywheel or 157 tooth auto and manual, it's 4.084 is the ID on your hole where you put in the starter, which indicates to 103.734 millimeters. So as you can say, 104 millimeters. So as the one's 105, the one's 104. So as on the complete circumference, diameter, whatever you want to call it, is 0.5 millimeter. So as you just have to ream 0.5 millimeter out. But measuring it this morning, there's not a lot in it, to be honest with you. The difference is the throw. So as if you get the wrong starter motor and you've got the one with a throw of 3/4 depth, something's not going to work, or it's not going to fit. So you must check this when you swap the flywheels. So it's caused a bit of an headache for me. Well, it hasn't really, because I wanted to get a new starter motor anyway, but I just had to make sure and check these things out as you do. Now I'm happy with that. So off we go. Let's get one of these short, stubby, high torque starters, and I've seen quite a few over the pond, and they are cheap. but obviously there's a place over local to me, Brierley Hill, I think it's called Powerlight. They do advertise on eBay. Julian is the guy's name. I'm going to see him shortly and we'll pick one up and we'll see what it looks like, eh? Right then, I'm going to try and mirror this because it's not clear too much. Let me have a, so we can get it closer. Right, we've had a few complications. I've made probably things in there more complicated than probably what it is. You got two types of starter motor basically. Now what I had was a 157 flywheel. Now the 157 tooth flywheel has got the teeth in where your starter motor engages round the actual flywheel, which is closest to the gearbox. So as therefore your starter motor's a longer reach, right? Which they call it a three-quarter reach starter motor. So as it engages further. So I swapped to an 164 flywheel, and the teeth are closer to the block. Now that's called a 3/8 reach starter motor. So as basically you can't use a 3/8 reach starter motor in a 3/4 reach because it'll just be hammering nothing basically. However, but you can use the 3/4 reach starter motor in the other one. So as basically all you do is put a spacer in, because some people have fitted the starter motor and gone, oh, I can't get it in, and then probably tightened the bolts, rammed it in. Starter motor's right up against the flywheel or whatever, and start the car, it's going to cause damage. So you will need an 1/2 inch spacer. But the only difference on the plates, which is like the engine plate, is the actual diameter of that plate. And honestly, it's just, there's nothing in it. There's less than 1/2 mil in it. So if you got a smaller one, 99% of the time the starter motor will go in there. But if you're having a problem, it's just easy to just ream it out with a burr until it fits. But if you've got the 3/4 starter motor, use an 1/2 inch spacer, job done. I'm hoping I've explained it as clearly as I can, because honestly, these Ford small blocks, I'm used to Buick, like the Rover V8 TVR engines, and I've had no problems with them. But these, it's a learning curve for me, this is. So I'm off to get a starter motor now, which I'm using a compact one. And that starter motor is for me 164, and it is a long throw. So they're supplying it with this this spacer, which is not a problem. So and I know it'll work correctly, but I'll show you that later anyway. I hope that's cleared a few things up. It probably hasn't really, but like you've either got one or the other. One it'll fit and one it won't. Anyway, that's as best as I can do. Thanks. Right then, so what do we have here then? Well, that's a nice high torque starter motor to replace the big one I've got in the car. Now, it's got a built-in solenoid as well, so I don't need the separate solenoid from the old one. I'm just going to weigh the difference in this one and the one that was on the car. So we're going to do this in kilos. We're going to put the old starter motor on here. See where we are with the kilos. That's weighing at 7.15 kilos. I'm sure you can all work it out in pounds for over the pond. And this is the new compact Powerlight unit I've got, and that's 4.15 kilos. That's a big saving. That is a big saving. Right, so we've still got the determination now of how it's going on to the flywheel. So as I'm going to take this off, which is fully adjustable, so as you can crank this around when it's on the engine to get it to the position where you want it. So as what I'm going to do, which is a good idea, to unbolt them, take that off, then bolt it to the engine, and then by using a gauge I can work out. Now there's a 10mm 3/8 throw on this when engaged, and as long as that is not touching your teeth on your flywheel, you're good to go. So as we'll get to that in a minute and do some measurements. Right then, so as we've bolted the plate from off the starter motor in its correct place, and we've took a measurement from the flywheel to the back of here, then we can work out where the actual gear is. We need the gear just off the teeth. If the gear is engaging in the teeth, it will burn the starter motor out. So as I would like to something like about, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch, 2mm, 3mm, something like that, to give it a bit of clearance, and then it'll engage that perfect. I don't want it rubbing on there at all. So as I've got 22mm before it touches that, so as I can bolt that back now on the starter motor and measure where we are, and then I can work out what the spacer is going to be on this, and then also I'm going to fit the motor and turn it up so as I can get it right up into the block away from these headers. Right, it's probably very hard to see the starter motor in here at the moment, but the actual motor itself wants twisting round so as we can get this right away from the exhaust headers manifold and then twist it to the bottom. But that's how it come. Now to get it out, it's a bit of a task, a bit of twisting and turning, and as you can see, you've got to be good at Jenga or Chinese puzzles to get it in and out, but I could not get the other starter motor out at all. This one you can get it in and out. So I'm going to undo the covers now, and then I can work out how we can get that right up to the block, out the way of the heat, and then determine then if I do need any spacers for this. But looking at it, I would say I am going to be using a spacer, but it's looking probably like 6mm or something, but I won't know until I work it out. So we'll get to that in a bit. Back to the starter motor. Now I've had to make a spacer for it, so obviously I've done it in aluminium because the starter motor is aluminium. I'd only got 6mm and it was measuring 7.5. So what I did, I got some 6 and 4mm, welded it together, machined it, and there you go, one spacer. So I've just left enough clearance for it to be away from the actual flywheel. So we don't want it engaging, we don't want it touching. When it gets hot, it will expand a few thou, not a lot, but I'd rather be safe, get it in once than having to take it out because there's a noise going on. But I'm going to get this on the starter motor now, positioned, and that should be it now. It should be the part. Don't really want to start the engine up over until I've got the oil through, primed. So we'll get this done and we'll leave that there then. I'll just do a little bit of video of it, how it sits in and how close I've got it to the block with its multi-positional hole system, which I think's a good idea. So it seems as if we can have it right down in that position there, right by the sump. which is the furthest away it's going to go from the headers. And being down like that as well, it should get some cool air to it. So as you've got the actual solenoid in that position, that is one position to get it in, or we can tuck it in that position there. It's quite close to the header there, but it's only the back of it. To me that looks probably neater, and then up and out the way. So as I think I shall probably favour that position, to be honest with you. Right, the threads are long enough on the bolts to go up to about 12mm thick. If you need it any bigger, you'll probably have to get longer bolts. Now I've just trial fitted this, and what we've done, we've just been a little bit greedy and turned it to an extra bolt hole to see if we could, but it's the thing's hitting the core plug, and we're a few millimetres, a 16th away from the hole, so you couldn't get the bolts in anyway. So because I've marked it with a pen, I'm just going to back it off one, and get it to fit. But what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to put a bit of lock nut on the thread. Obviously that's going to stop the thing vibrating out. So that should sort that out, hopefully. I'm not sure why it's not going in there. Yeah, that's strange. Where's my Allen key? Right, that'll sort it out. So we're going to wind that one in there like that. Just going to pull this one out. A nylock nut on, nylock nut I'll call it. Bit of thread lock on there. Sort that out. I think it's because I've put the other one in too tight. Now we're not, that's it, it's dropped down. So when I've had this, there's been quite a bit of swarf in there, so it just needed cleaning out, all the holes what they've drilled. But hopefully now we've got it exactly where we want it. I'm just going to tighten these up on my spacer, and then we can get it in. Torque setting tight and a little bit. Forget it, Sally. Tight and a little bit. That's fine. That's all you need. We had a bit of a problem getting it out. It's quite tight with this on and the spacer. So it's a bit fiddly, but it goes in, unlike the other one what was on there. So we're going to get this in now, get some bolts in, and you can see from that, the distance from there to there now, that will be approximately about 1.5 to 2 mil touching, not touching should I say, the actual flywheel gear. That will engage then 10 mil, so as we ain't going to get this burnt out. Right then, we've got the starter motor in place. As you can see, we've got a bit of a gap between there. Not a lot, but that's probably the best place for it to go in. So I've got a problem. how we've positioned it. It's virtually almost impossible to get a socket on there, which probably have to go like some at quarter drive. I've tried a 9/16 universal straight through, and it's causing a problem, so I'm going to change that for a cap head. I think a cap head will work best for that. Yeah, it was a bit of a jiggery poker to get it in. It's quite tight on the side of the sump. You just have to give it a tug to come past, so you're going to scratch your sump. That's what I'm going to say to get it out. So yeah, but at least we can get it out. So that's where we are with that now. I'm going to get a cap head screw, and then I'm going to lock it all up, and I'm just going to put a bar on the flywheel, the pulley, and just to make sure the engine moves. Hello. Thanks again for watching part 15. I hope it's been of some interest to you. Basically, you've got two options of starter motors, one will fit, one won't. I hope I've explained everything good enough. We can only try. So I'm happy with our iTalk starter motor, and I'd highly recommend anyone else fitting one to their V8. Now, one or two people have asked me a few things to do for them, to do with welding. Basically just to get them going, because they've brought these little cheap MIG welders. There's nothing wrong with buying cheap MIG welders, but you've got to look for possibly synergic ones, or ones without the stepper control. If you've got a stepper which is like a clunk 1, clunk 2, clunk 3, don't go for them. Go for the ones with what you could say a volume control, so as you can adjust the wire and the voltage amperage on fine tuning, because you can get it basically just how you want it. What I'm going to do is do a basic setup video MIG. I shall get some 1.5mm thin sheet plate and just show you basics spot welding using a MIG timed by your own brain, like 1 second, 2 seconds, etc. And then we could go up to some thicker stuff if you want that, but I'm sure nobody wants it. I'm sure people just want to weld sills on the car, patches on the car, how to do it, etc, etc. I won't bore you with that anyway, but what I'll do is I'll do a MIG one, and then I'll probably do a stick one if anybody's interested in that. But I'd like to listen to comments on which way to go with that, and if you're stuck on anything, I'll do a specific video for that. Now also, I've got a bit of a spoiler coming up on the next one. As you can see in the background, I'm in my garage in Spain. So I'm just finishing a few editing things off. Hopefully I've done them right, and there's no bad language in it again. But anyway, I'm glad people are subscribing. Come on, try and get more people. I'm nearly up to 500 now. I'm hoping by the end of the year I can get 500 subscribers, but just feel free. Anybody can ask me any questions, what they want. I'll try and help them out as best as I can. That's why I'm trying to do this channel, not just Sunbeams, other cars as well. You know, just throw them to me and I'll see what I can do in the time scale, what I'm trying to juggle this, that and the other, and motorbikes and whatever, and then flitting off over here and enjoying myself. But anyway, less of the boring stuff. Thank you for watching.